we now want to take a look at how businesses work. And in order to do that, what we need to take a look at is a basic, very basic scenario, very basic statement that says that businesses use inputs. Inputs are resources. And by definition, a resource is any natural, human, or man-made unit that goes into the production of a good or service. So they take these resources in order to produce a particular product, which we call an output. Some of the products, some of the inputs that Wilmington University uses, the computers, the desks, the chairs, the instructors, the campus itself, what have you. And what they produce, they take all of these inputs and they produce educational programs for students through criminal justice, education, business, and a variety of other areas. We call this process, the process of taking inputs and turning them into outputs. We call that the process of production. The process of taking inputs and turning them into outputs. In order for us to understand how a business works, we have to understand the concept of money. And what we mean by this is the money a business takes in from the sale of its goods and services is called revenue. And specifically, revenue can be calculated by multiplying our price times our quantity. If we have 4 shirts for sale and each shirt is $10, our revenue would be $40, price times quantity. That's how we figure our revenue, more commonly called total revenue. The cost a firm has is the total amount that it costs them to hire its inputs, to hire resources. And I know that we're going to take a look at that in a minute and find out what resources are. But to find those human, natural, or man-made units that produce a particular good. It's the combination or the culmination of all those. And the cost a firm has is the total amount of its inputs or its resources. And the resources, categories of the resources would be land, which would be not only the land that we're using here at Newcastle County campus, but it's the trees, the forests, the water, the mineral ore deposits within our earth and what have you. Labor, from the person who works at McDonald's to the CEO of DuPont. Both of those are considered labor. Capital. When we talk about capital in this class, we are not talking about dollars. We're not talking about financial capital. Instead, what we're talking about is the acquisition, a firm's acquisition, or the firm going out and purchasing plant and equipment. They're going out to buy a new factory. They're going out to buy a new office building. They're going out to buy a new drill press, a new hammer, a new bulldozer, if you will, a new computer system. That is capital, and that's all capital is going to be in this class, is a firm's investment in plant and equipment. Intermediate inputs. Businesses need to buy inputs from other businesses. If you were if you owned a pizza parlor, you might need to buy electricity. Well, you would definitely have to buy electricity. You would have to buy water. You might have to buy the flour to make the dough. Those are intermediate inputs. And finally, the last resource that we have is called business know-how. And this is the actual ability to know how to run your business. If you're thinking about going into business and you go to a bank for a loan, the first thing the bank officer is going to ask you is, what do you know about your business? And if you can't tell them, you're probably not going to get the loan. So just keep that in mind. So if we take these two concepts, revenue and cost, we can come up with what a firm calls profit. Profit is nothing more than our revenue, the amount of money that we take in from the sale of our goods and services, minus our cost, the money that we have to pay for our resources, land, labor, capital, intermediate inputs, and business know-how. And that is called profit. And we determine profit maximization. The greatest profit we can get is the greatest distance that we can have between our revenue and our cost. So If we're profit maximizing, we have the greatest revenue between our profits and our cost. Because of that, we can now come up and discuss what we call a production function, which we already know. A production function is nothing more than taking inputs and producing outputs. But there's a key interest here, a key comment. First of all, I want to go over some terms, specifically one term. That term is called marginal, M-A-R-G-I-N-A-L, and that's going to haunt you for the rest of the 5 or 6 weeks that we're going to be in this class. Marginal means extra or the change, triangle, the change in. That's what marginal means. It is the change in something. An example of this, you made $20,000 in 2011 and $21,000 in 2012. Therefore, your marginal income, the extra income, or your change in income is equal to $1,000. That's all marginal is. And the way we got that was $1,000 is equal to the $20,100 that we have now. I'm sorry, $21,000, excuse me. The $21,000 that we have now minus our $20,000 that we made last year. And therefore, we make the change in our income, the extra income. Our marginal income this year is $1,000. So let us take for a moment a company and have them, we're going to very simplistically, we're going to take a kid that cuts grass for some extra money over the summer so he or she can go to camp. The number of hours that he or she works, when that person works 0 hours, they can cut 0 grass, they can cut 0 lawns. When they work the first hour, they realize that they can cut 2 lawns. So the total product or the total number of lawns that they cut when they work that first hour is 2. When they work the second hour, they realize that together between working the first hour, working the second hour, they were able to cut 4 lawns. When they work a total of 3 hours, from 8 to 11, they cut 5 lawns, and from 8 to 12, they cut 6 lawns. And that's important for us to know, but what's more important is this. We want to know what the extra or the change or the marginal lawn that they cut given the marginal product, given the marginal amount of time. So in this case, what we're doing is the change or the marginal product of labor. When I worked 0 hours, I cut 0 lawns. When I worked the first hour, I cut 2 lawns. And therefore, my marginal product was equal to 2, which is equal to my new total product, 2 minus 0. When I worked that extra second hour, when I worked that second hour, that extra hour, I realized that my total product went up to 4. But the extra product, the product that's attributable to working that extra hour is 2, which is equal to my new total product minus my old total product. But now I have something. When I work the third hour, I realize that when I work 3 hours, I realize that I cut 5 lawns. But my marginal product of labor has gone down because if I take the extra lawn that I cut, given the extra hour that I worked, I realized that I only cut 1 extra lawn, which is 5 minus 4, and 4 hours is the same. It's 1. The reason for this decrease, my total product is increasing, as you can see, 2, 4, 5, 6, but my marginal product is actually decreasing. It's decreasing because hour 3, I'm tired, I want to take a break, I have to lug this lawnmower up this hill, whatever it is. So therefore, this is very important to understand that in all businesses, at some juncture, the marginal product, the extra product of labor, given the extra hour that he or she works, will decrease. So if you have any questions about this, again, put it on discussion board, email me, I will email you back, and likewise put the response on Blackboard, on discussion board. Thank you very much. Have a great day.